Alright, so before I begin, let's say that I hope we don't have the same technical malfunction that I had with the last review. For those who saw the way back review, something weird happened during the recording. The feed got interrupted or something, so the audio and the video weren't matching up. So it looked like I was in a Godzilla movie. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen this time. Unfortunately, the only way to know is to watch the video when I'm done. So I apologize for that, and we're hoping that doesn't happen again. Especially since I really want to talk about this one. You know, I've said this a lot. I've said this a couple times on this show during multiple reviews. One of the mission statements I had when I first decided I was going to start doing this was that I didn't want to stick with just the big releases, the big budget releases. Of course I was going to go see Marvel movies and things of that nature, but I didn't want to stick just with those. I wanted to go see the movies nobody had heard about. You know, the movies that didn't get any advertising or didn't get any, talk show time or anything like that. Because, the big budget things have enough critics covering them. So I wanted to make sure that somebody was talking about these smaller films. And that leads to you seeing a lot of crap. Of course, seeing big budget films does that as well. But every now and then, every so often, you hit the lottery, you hit the jackpot, and you see a film that is so good, so entertaining, so new, so interesting that it justifies doing this as much as I do. And I'm very happy to say that this is an example of such a movie. This is a movie that I heard nothing about until about midway through this past week, and I scrolled through the what's coming out section, and this was there, and I was like, what the hell's that? And I played the trailer, and I'm like, gotta see that. And I'm very lucky it's playing here. Even though it's in one of the small theaters, but it's still playing, so very lucky for that, because I was afraid I'd miss this one. And I didn't, and you shouldn't either. So let's talk, because there's some things to talk about here. So, if you haven't heard of this movie, which the odds are you haven't, I'm sorry for the sun shining in the camera right now. My apologies. I'm always apologizing for something. If you haven't seen this movie, so here's what's going on. So, long story short, Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson, need to enunciate, play these two guys who, long story short, because it's a very complicated trail as to how they get there, decide they want to buy property. They want to be in the real estate business. But being that the movie takes place in the 50s and early 60s, you can kind of guess what the problem with that is. So they get into it, things are going great, then there's a complication where the bank wants to foreclose on their half of the loans and whatnot. So Anthony Mackie comes up with the idea, well, if I just buy the bank, or rather I buy the building the bank is in, now I'm their landlord. So now they have to pay attention to me. And they can't just, pawn me off. So how do you pull that off? Well, he and Sam Jackson get Nicholas Hoult to basically be the white face of their investment company so they can buy all this property. But then that happens, and then they decide, well, Anthony Mackie decides, it's not enough to just own all this property in LA. I'm going to own banks in Texas so that we can give, black people loans for their homes and their businesses, and all that. So this movie is an interesting combination of a lot of different moving parts. In the early going, especially when Sam Jackson and Anthony Mackie are training Nicholas Hoult up to be their proxy, basically. You really get to feel like it's a con movie. If you've ever seen like The Sting or a bank heist movie or something to that effect, it has that kind of feel. Like, are they going to pull this off? Are they going to pull this off? Oh my God! And when they do, you're like, yay! But the movie, in most places, that'd be where the movie ends, but it's not. It goes to the second act of them going in and doing the thing in Texas, and then it has more of a I don't want to say a documentary feel, but it has a little bit more serious tone to it, because obviously even then buying two black men owning property in LA is very different than two black men owning property in Texas. So you have that whole aspect to it. Yeah, we're getting sun everywhere, so this is going to be a very washed out video. My apologies. Anywho, so then it does that. Then it becomes like a legal drama when the second act complication arises, and of course they get found out, and you have to that's going to happen eventually, and you have to figure out what's how they're going to get out of this, or if they're going to get out of this, and whatnot. So I am not doing the story, I am not doing the script, or the real life facts that it's based on. I am not doing it any justice, because it is a fascinating tale, and the screenplay is so tight. The screenplay is so well done. And that's an aspect that gets brushed over a lot in, the bigger budget movies. It's not saying that they don't have writers or anything like that, but you don't pay as much attention to, how is the script any good, when you're watching Endgame. And unless Endgame sucks, then you're like, well, who wrote it? That kind of thing. Actually, even then, you don't really do that. If a comic book movie or something that fails, you want to know who directed it. People are still bitching at Bryan Singer for destroying X-Men. I think he did write part of it, so maybe that is justified. Bad example, but you know what I mean. You blame the actors, or you blame the director, or you blame the studio. You don't really blame the screenplay. But in a smaller movie like this, the screenplay is all you've really got to go on. Like, that's your strength. So it stands out more, and boy howdy is this a really good script. Boy howdy. And man alive, the acting in this is top notch. They have an amazing cast. So this is the second movie in 2 weeks I've reviewed with Anthony Mackie, and I believe I said this during my last review with him, is that I feel like he is trying, like a lot of them are, to break out of the mold that the Marvel movies kind of put you in, that that perception that, oh, he's the Falcon and that's all he is. So he is doing kind of like Chris Hemsworth is doing, and taking on all these different roles, all so very different from each other. Last one he played, a straight up radical, a Black Panther. And in this one, he is kind of a reluctant radical. He is still fighting for the same things, but he's going about it in a different way, and that's not even, at least it's not the primary goal that he speaks of. And he disappears completely into the role. It is very well done. He is really showing off his acting chops to me these last few films. I'm sure that was his big concern. But he is showing off just how good of an actor he truly is. What can you say about Sam Jackson? you really can't say anything about Sam Jackson. He's one of those actors who is less an actor than he is a force of nature. You know, what can you say about Sam Jackson? It's Sam fucking Jackson. But I think I said this in the last Clear Measure review, is that, again, you get so used to him playing the Sam Jackson-ness of everything that you sometimes can forget that he is a very talented actor. It's not just attitude, it's a lot of talent. Here he's doing more of his Sam Jackson-ness. He's kind of, if I had to compare his role to a recent film, he's playing kind of the Alan Arkin character from Argo. You know, a guy who is smart, who does know his business and all that, but he's more sarcastic. He's got the dry remarks. You know, he's the funny one. And man, he's got great comic timing. This sounds terrible, and please, I hope people don't take this the wrong way, but watching Anthony Mackie and Samuel L. Jackson work together in this movie, it's almost like watching a classic comedy team. Like, they are really in sync, and that's not easy to do. The comic timing of the comedian Sam Jackson and the straight man Anthony Mackie, you know, with these exchanges, that is hard, folks. And they do it effortlessly, or seemingly. It is just really well done. I also got to give this shout out, and this is going to make me sound a little weird to some people, but I'm going to say it. Man, you got a lot of good-looking guys in good-looking 50s, 60s style suits. Man, men's fashion in the 50s and 60s was awesome, and these guys wear it. Sam Jackson, you know, in his early scenes, he's got like these three-piece suits, you know, pinstripes, you know, the hat going on. It's like, man, dude, I wish I were a fraction of that cool. I want the amount of cool that Sam Jackson has in the tip of his little finger. That's all. Any more than that, I'd probably explode. That's too much charisma. But man, they look good in this movie. It is a good looking movie. Nicholas Hoult is an actor that's growing on me. I did not care for him in the X-Men movies. I've had lengthy debates about this with other people, about him as the Beast. He was okay, but all in all, didn't care for him. But in a lot of the movies I've seen him in recently, I've really grown to respect him more as a performer. And he's really good in this. His character goes through the most change throughout the film. You know, he starts off, you think that he's just kind of this doofus guy that they get to and teach, you know, feed him lines like a ventriloquist dummy. But they show that he's not stupid. He'll learn, and he does learn. And he grows, and he gets to be more confident. He gets a little too big for his britches. And then you think, oh, this guy's like the sellout. But then other things happen where you're like, oh, he wasn't a sellout. You know? So that's a hard line to walk performance-wise. So his character goes through the biggest change, and he weathers it. Everything in this movie feels so natural, and that change, it's not jarring, it's a gradual thing, and you see every bit of it. That's something else I really love about this movie, and I'm gonna tread carefully here in my word choices because I don't want to come off the wrong way. I talked about this a little bit in the Way Back review in terms of the changing of expectations. You set up stories with cliches, and then when you circumvent those cliches, it makes the thing seem fresher. This movie doesn't take the easy way out. Now, it's based on a true story, so again, you don't know how much of it is fact, how much of it is fiction, but the people you think are going to serve a certain role in the movie don't serve a certain role. And when they don't, it's a relief. Let me give you an example. I'm so excited to say it. Cole Meany is in this! Yay, Cole Meany! This is the second movie I've seen with Cole Meany in it! like doing, and both of them had Anthony Mackie in it. So Cole Meany, Chief O'Brien, the Cole Meany, love Cole Meany so much. He plays a guy who owns some buildings in the very beginning of the film, who Anthony Mackie goes to and says, I want to buy your building, I'm gonna do this and this and this, and Cole Meany turns him down at first, but then calls him up after shenanigans and says, hey, I'm impressed with you, you've got guts, you got moxie, kid. Let's do it. You know, I'll go into business with you. Let's do it. And you're waiting for this. Okay, when is he going to turn on him? When is the other dime going to drop? You know, the other shoe's going to drop, because, you know, you can't have a happy ending or things going great this early in the movie, so something's got to happen. So you're waiting for Cole Meany to turn around and be a bastard. He's not a bastard. He dies. And his wife is a bastard, but he's not. It sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. And that's refreshing. There's also this great scene. It's a small scene, but it's one I personally, culturally, really appreciate. When Cole Meany is going to be partners with Anthony Mackie, that almost rhymes. Cole Meany says to him, you know, I do business every day with people who, after they shake my hand, they turn around and wash it because I'm a dirty Irishman. And it's a small little bit of dialogue. They don't draw a lot of attention to it. It doesn't come back into play later. But what I liked about this movie doesn't take the easy way out. It doesn't take the white man is evil way out. It affirms that the laws the white man set up are evil and unjust, but the white man individually is not this collective evil that is out there. And I like the acknowledgement that, and I said this in my Green Book review, that while no nationality can claim to have suffered as much as African Americans, with the possible exception of Native Americans, it acknowledges that racism, especially of that time, was not limited to skin color. Other cultures and other people from other backgrounds had a lot of trouble. And again, not saying they had as much as African Americans, they certainly did not. Not going to make that claim. But to acknowledge that that can be a common ground for people, I think it was brilliant. It's one of the things I liked about Green Book. I liked Green Book, and then later you find out you're racist if you liked Green Book. But that was something I really liked about Green Book, was a black man and an Italian man. Their stories are not that different. At the time period the movie was out, let's say that. Obviously, history, you know. So even Nicholas Holt's character, who goes through that character arc, and you think, oh, this is going to be the slimy guy who backstabs them, and, you know, he gets away scot-free because he's white, and they get punished, and he sold them out and all this. And they play him up like that. Like, you think that's how it's going to end. And then the movie ends, and you find out, nope, that's actually not the case. I liked that. I liked that a lot. The actress who plays Anthony Mackie's wife is also really good and really funny in this. And boy, she's got some chutzpah. Like, I tried to stay to see the actor's name, but I probably would have forgotten it if I had, because I have that bad of a memory. But she was good, equally as funny, equally as powerful as the rest of it. Like I say, the core cast, just phenomenal. Can't say enough good things about them. Is the movie flawless? I wouldn't say flawless. It drags a bit in between acts 2 and 3. And I am going to admit, just because I am not the smartest guy in the world, a lot of the math talk, the real estate talk, the finance talk went right over my head. I felt like at certain points I was watching the SAT caper. But that is not the fault of the film for my ignorance. So I don't blame the film for that. No, this is a smart movie. This is a smart, fun, important, socially conscious film that I'm disappointed has not gotten anywhere near the advertising it should have gotten, and also that just hasn't gotten the acknowledgement. I was very happy to see I was not the only person in the theater. A lot of people were there to see it, which means somehow people found out about this movie. I'm very happy about that because I want people to find out about this movie. So let me be crystal clear here, folks. Final grade for The Banker, it's an A+. It is a solid A+. It is, I think, only the second A+ film I've seen all year. You know, or even one that got close to being an A+. This is a great movie, and right now where I'm at, it's only available in one location. Wherever you might be watching this, I don't know where it would be available in your locations, but believe me when I tell you, it is worth seeking out. So get this movie's name out there, and you know, I think it's well worth it. It really is. I really don't know what else to say about this one. Before I close out, let me acknowledge. So I had to stop and restart because the phone overheated because it's sitting on my dashboard and the sun's coming right at us. One of the downsides of doing one of these during the day as opposed to at night when I usually do this. But I did notice when I was trying to go back and find where I left off that yes, once again, something happened and the audio is screwed up. So again, my deep apologies for that. I think I know what it is, but I'm going to have to wait till I see this video to know if in fact I am correct. So I apologize for the technical issues we've been having lately. Hopefully they will get resolved and you won't have to watch me reenact a Gamera film. But despite the technical glitches, despite the issues such as that there, I always want to thank the viewers for coming back and checking us out and joining me for the drive home. So yeah, A+ for this film. Go see it. Thanks for watching. And as always, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.